Most Canadians should start to see prices dropping at the pump or in some cases their heating bill, except if you live in Quebec. Canada's federal consumer carbon tax is over as of April 1st. This change is going to be most obvious at the gas station, where major cities like Toronto and Vancouver are already seeing prices drop. But that won't happen in Quebec cities like Montreal, since the province has had its own carbon pricing system in place for years. So why does Quebec have its own pricing system in place, and should that change? Since 2014, Quebec has had what's called a cap-and-trade system in partnership with the state of California. The idea is that the province imposes a limit of greenhouse gas emissions produced by large companies. These companies then have to buy credits from either the province or each other for every ton of carbon dioxide they emit. The goal was to incentivize consumers and companies to reduce CO2 emissions and make more eco-friendly choices.
That drives up their costs, and then they pass those costs on. Our price at the pump is higher because of Quebec's climate policy.
That extra money then goes into a fund to finance low-carbon infrastructure projects. In 2019, the federal government implemented its own system. It was a carbon tax, added directly to the sale of carbon-emitting products. For gasoline, it was 17.6 cents a liter, and natural gas was 15.25 cents per cubic meter. A tax rebate was also provided based on income. Mark Carney has now canceled the fee on this tax for consumers while keeping it in place for industrial large-scale polluters.
We will be eliminating the Canada fuel charge.
A common question has been, do these carbon pricing systems actually work? One expert says that here in Quebec, the carbon pricing system hasn't done much to reduce emissions since the cost is still relatively low, but he says that doesn't mean that the system isn't working.
If there hadn't been that price, things would have been worse because the price of gasoline would have been lower and people could only have purchased more, because when the price is low, people don't buy less. They usually buy the same amount or more.
He also expects it to have an even bigger impact long term as the province slowly reduces its cap on emissions, thus creating higher prices. On the federal side, one analysis from the Canadian Climate Institute has shown that both consumer and industrial carbon pricing was projected to reduce emissions by as much as 50% by 2030. The Quebec government hasn't expressed any plans to remove Quebec's carbon pricing system, but it does say that it will be keeping an eye on the federal government. With an election coming up, it's unclear what the future of the federal carbon tax is.